Peace. This is a meat and potato sorcery production starring myself, the Water Alchemist, and today's topic for the occult family is fear is not always a bad thing, and a comment about the Demiurge. First, let's deal with fear. Fear, in a lot of cases, is bad, but you have the flip side of the metaphysical coin where it's not a bad thing, and here's how. Fear is good if you don't want to become the person that you mocked and laughed at when you was a child. Now, it's humbling, but I can use this example from the show Married with Children and the patriarch of the show, Al Bundy. Al Bundy, what was the highlight of his life? When he was a senior in high school and he talked about scoring 4 touchdowns in a single game and could not let it go. So that's one example where you're so rooted in the past that you don't move forward. Fear can be good when you don't want to be a coward. And some people are cowards, and that's just how it is. But it's never a good thing, because I could say this, and men, you must know this. No woman will ever respect a man that does not show courage, period. She will never respect that in you. You better have it somewhere in the depths of the core of your being. The other thing is fear of loving someone. And this is the hardest for a lot of people, male or female, because you're giving someone the power to potentially hurt you. But human beings as a whole are social creatures. This is why when many of them end up in the prison industrial complex, they go insane because they are restricted from love. So you should have a fear of not being able to love. I want to say this. Being fearful of your magical abilities. And people are afraid of that. That's why sometimes you can act out on the astral plane, because you suppress your magic. So this is very hard for people. So fear is not always a bad thing, because when you are afraid of becoming something that you thought you would never become, that is something you should embrace. Now, here's my commentary about the Demiurge. The Demiurge are vying for more power, and you will see people fighting vigorously. I could use some examples of the Demiurge trying to gain more power in New York, because Clinton came in the 90s, the late 90s, and started setting the takeover for Harlem. They know if they get Harlem, everything else was going to fall. They anticipated this because you have the Netter there, you have the Loa there, the Orisha there. It's a lot of people that hang out in New York, especially Harlem. So they know if they took Harlem back, everything else was just going to be smooth sailing. The Angels are fighting for Los Angeles, because you got to look at the Bay Area. Oakland and San Francisco, it's terrible there. I mean, horrific. I can't even hold back on it. And you got to look in the case of the Midwest. Cleveland, bad. Cincinnati, bad. Chicago, don't even get me started. But I'm saving Michigan. With cities such as Flint. We all know what happened with the Flint crisis with the water, and how Obama played like he drunk the water and didn't. And yet, Dana Nessel, the Attorney General here, she's so progressive, but yet Rick Snyder, at the behest of General Motors, poisoned people here. Darnell Early, I'm not letting you go with this either, because you were an accomplice. And now, how does this help the prison industrial complex? Well, the children in Flint will have lowered IQs and more behavioral problems. So the schools and the prison industrial complex are going to benefit immensely. And Flint's population has not been this low in 150 years. And you can fact check that. Also, you can get works on The Last City, and I'm going to give the name of the author later. But you look at Highland Park, destroyed. Benton Harbor, destroyed. Saginaw, destroyed. Ecorse, River Rouge, and the best for last, as I said, Detroit. The Demiurge run Detroit. Period. Detroit was the fourth largest city in 1920. That started changing in the 50s. And I know some so-called conservative tribes will be like, that's because of the Democrats. No, my friend. Detroiters started making an exodus in the 50s, and the mayor was a Republican. Now you can check the author's name who wrote about Detroit and how they were losing ground is Thomas Segru. You can get his works. Detroit has little over 634,000. That's down a whole lot. And people are leaving. If you ever want to know how much juice the Demiurge got, end up at the Coleman A. Young building off of Woodward. Better yet, 36th District Court or Frank Murphy Hall of Justice. End up there. Demiurge run those courts. Period. So there's a war that's been going on, and there's no telling how long this will last. But don't be afraid to travel, and you better start doing it more now, because they're going to make it harder and harder for you to leave your city. And this is by design. So with that, that is your meat and potato sorcery for the day. I am the Water Alchemist. Be water, my friends. Peace.